Hello, hello, and welcome back to British Guy Reviews American Beer. And today we're doing a comparison video because I want to answer one question, and that is, how good is Allagash White? So Allagash White is from Allagash Brewery in Portland, Maine, and very interestingly, they are a brewery that started up in New England and for some reason decided to make a Belgian wheat beer their flagship beer, which for most American breweries would be immediate disaster, right? But Allagash are clearly doing something right, and this beer has earned a real reputation. Um, it's available all over the place, but it's maintained the reputation of being a top quality Belgian wheat beer. So, in order to kind of answer that question, the best way I could think to go was to put it up against Blue Moon, which is, although they try to hide the fact that Blue Moon is a Molson Coors beer, it is the Belgian wheat beer brewed by, well, the Blue Moon Brewing Company, which is owned and operated by Molson Coors. Most people will have at some point in their life tried a Blue Moon. You see it in all the restaurants, all the bars, big chunk of orange shoved out of the glass. And it's kind of got one of those reputations of it's a little bit different, but it's an approachable beer. Allagash White, maybe people who don't necessarily drink craft beer wouldn't necessarily go for an Allagash White. Interestingly, these come in at very similar price points. The Blue Moon a little bit cheaper than the Allagash White, but because I guess Allagash distribute this beer all over the United States, they're able to hit a certain price point. So for its reputation, and as good as its reputation says it is, it's not an expensive beer. So all the spiel over with, except to say that the Blue Moon has an ABV of 5.4% and is brewed with, it says, Valencia oranges. The Allagash has an ABV of 5.2% and says that it is brewed with coriander and curacao orange peel. So very similar ABVs, styles, in theory. Let's get them out and see what we get. Now, I think the Blue Moon has a twisty cap. It does. That's always a negative point for me. I don't know why necessarily. I just get the impression that that kind of cheapens the beer, and that tells me that this is brewed by a macro brewery. I don't know if having a twisty versus a pop-off cap makes absolutely any difference whatsoever to the beer, but it's just the impression I get. So the Allagash gave me a little bit of a hiss. The Blue Moon, maybe because it was a twisty, didn't give me much of a fizz as I opened the bottle. So Blue Moon first. Just going to pour these kind of side by side. Let's get the bottles over next to the beer so I don't forget which is which. And the Allagash. Okay. Now, I decided not to do a blind taste test here. I'm going to trust my integrity to not be influenced by reputation. So I'm just going to do them side by side. Actually, it's pretty clear from the visuals which beer is which. The Blue Moon is a hazy kind of gold color, lots of carbonation streaming up the middle of the glass there, a little bit of a white head. The Allagash, again, lots of carbonation streaming, but streaming in a much more attractive way, if that's possible. in kind of multiple streams of carbonation. The beer is a lot clearer and it is much yellower, so a much lighter color. It's a light straw colored beer, and it has a much whiter head and a much more well-formed head. Aroma-wise, the Blue Moon smells pretty sweet. I can definitely pick up the orange. It's got kind of a candied orange aroma to it. A little bit of grain. Picking up a bit of spice there. Maybe that's a bit of yeast character there. I don't know if they also brew with any coriander or if it's just with orange. A little bit of a Belgian yeast character there. And the Allagash White. That's got much more. It smells drier, if that's possible. It just doesn't have that sweetness of the Blue Moon. It's got a nice kind of clove. Yes, you pick up the coriander and a citrus. It's got kind of a lemon orange citrus aroma. But you get very much the impression that the yeast character and the fermentation esters are coming through in the Allagash White, much more so than the Blue Moon. Both smell very pleasant. Just the Blue Moon smells a little bit more candied orange, maybe a little bit artificial, I don't know. And the Allagash White smells nice and fresh. It just punches you a bit more on the aroma. So let's dive in and see what we get. Cheers. Blue Moon's got a kind of velvety, creamy mouthfeel. I'm guessing there's a bunch of oats in there, giving it that creaminess. The orange character comes through. It's sweet, not much bitterness there whatsoever. So you kind of get this velvety, creamy orange, candied orange flavor coming through. It's pleasant. It's not terrific, but it's a really pleasant, easy drinking beer. In terms of mouthfeel, the Allagash White is also smooth and velvety. It's got a little bit more of a bite of carbonation about it. And it's just that freshness and that zing of the Blue Moon. You get that, yes, that candied orange, almost a little bit artificial orange coming through. In the Allagash, you get fresh orange. And you get this lovely blend of that fresh orange juice with the, again, just like the nose, you get that lovely clove and coriander mix of spices, which just blends beautifully with the with that citrus, that fresh citrus. Nice creamy mouthfeel, nice bite of carbonation. Just a hint of bitterness there, which is nice as well. Just rounds the beer off nicely. Super, super, super drinkable beer. And yeah, if you go to any decent craft brewery and you order a Belgian wheat beer, if you get something like this, you're going to be very happy and you're going to pay good money to drink a beer as good as this. So the fact that this is on a supermarket shelf for tops $1.50 a bottle. It's absolutely top quality. Delicious, delicious, delicious beer. I've actually only had this once before, and that was years ago. And I didn't know much about the beer at the time, and I was just blown away by how good it was. Not knowing much about it, I just literally picked one up on a supermarket shelf to take it home and give it a try, and was genuinely surprised by it. The Blue Moon is okay. Nice summer, easy drinking beer garden type beer. Um, but the Allagash White is literally streets ahead of it, and for very little price difference is just a different class of beer for me. So rating wise, the Blue Moon, nice, easy drinking. Um, yeah, just doesn't taste as fresh. Um, but a solid choice if you're someone who's into your macro beers and you're looking for something just a little bit different. It's got that sweetness that you might be looking for, nice mouthfeel, touch of orange, very approachable. I'll give the Blue Moon a 3.3 out of 5. Every time I lift the Allagash White up, I get that lovely Belgian yeast character. And you get the coriander and you get the fresh orange. It's zesty. It's a really, really delicious beer, and it looks really good in the glass. I don't know if you can see the lovely white head that is just continuing to form as the beer kind of fizzes in the glass, not going away at all. It just looks really nice in the glass, and there's a nice touch of lacing there as well. I'm going to stop complimenting this beer and I'm going to give it a rating. I'm going to go as high as to say that is worth a 4.1 out of 5. It is that good. It is a really, really, really solid Belgian wheat beer. So, what did I give the Blue Moon? A 3.3 out of 5 and a 4.1 out of 5. The Allagash White is streets ahead, and it is an absolutely delicious beer. And if you haven't tried it, I recommend go out and buy it. It's everywhere, it's not expensive, and it is an absolutely top beer. So I hope you liked the video. As always, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Have you had these two beers? What do you think of them? A lot of people really like Blue Moon. If you like Blue Moon, I'm telling you, go out and buy Allagash White because it is an absolutely delicious beer. So, as always, again, thank you for watching. Subscribe and support the channel. Your support is always appreciated. And until next time, it's cheers for now.